So NHL trade value. I think the simplest way to phrase this is the best assets in the NHL. We're going to list them 1 to 10. You have a pretty definitive ranking. I have a pretty definitive upper tier, and then a whole bunch of wishy-wash from 7 on that I could be talked into a billion guys. So I will let you just lay out your list. That's what I would like you to do.
Okay, so you want me to go 1 through 10?
Yeah, let's just go 1 through 10. We can set the parameters there, and then I can quibble afterwards or lay out what I've kind of got in front of me. So I think the 1-2 is easy. Just a matter of what order we put them in.
So, yeah, so this is the most valuable assets, trade assets in the NHL.
Yeah.
Number 1 and 2 are very easy. Connor McDavid, number 1.
Yes.
Best player in the league, and he has 3 more seasons at $12.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to quibble with that being number 1. Number 2, Kale Makar.
Not impossible, though.
Number 2, Kale Makar. 4 more seasons at $9 million.
Yeah.
Now, I actually sat down yesterday. I texted you about this.
You did.
That there is a world to me where he is the most valuable asset in the NHL. Like, you could make the case.
The extra years, the less money.
And his impact on the game, his impact on the Avalanche. He is a bona fide every year Norris finalist. He may win the Norris 3 or 4 more times before the end of his career. And he makes $9 million for 4 more years. That is an absolute steal of a contract. So
let's just quickly brainstorm it, okay? You're Holland. I'm Joe Sakic, I guess. I know he has an underling Bobby Webster style, but you understand what I mean. Oilers get the call, because I do not think the Oilers would make the call. But they get the call. Cale Makar for Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
What would they say?
I think they'd say no.
It is a hard decision to arrive at. There's a meeting. And part of this is we cannot be the franchise that traded Gretzky twice, I think is also kind of part of it as well. Yeah. But that's why I think McDavid is still number 1. I think if you're asking me which asset would you just take, I could very well hear the Makar argument. But if those two teams call each other, the Oilers say no before the Avalanche do, I think.
Okay. Number 3.
Yeah.
Is Leon Draisaitl.
Okay.
2 more years at $8 million. I know the contract length isn't necessarily there.
I had him in a group all by himself because of the short term. I did not know what to do with him.
Well, you're going to get 130 points for $8 million.
Yep.
I think it's just the value
8.5, but yep.
Oh, sorry, of 8.5. I think you're going to get.
I just didn't want the textures jumping on.
I don't care about the textures. But I mean, I think there's just the value of what you're getting for $8.5 million for 2 years. I know it's not that long term, but I think he is number 3 to me because it's such a steal of a deal.
I had 2 guys above him for sure.
Okay.
But I imagine you're about to get to them, so I won't step all over your toes.
Number 4 is Nathan MacKinnon.
Okay, that was one of them.
He's starting an 8-year, $100 million contract.
Honestly, because of that, the answer is no. But he gets to be in the conversation for me with Makar and McDavid. It's still no. He is still number 3 to me. But because of the just starting an 8-year term, and this isn't a Nikita Kucherov who has a lot of term left. He's 26 years old or 27 years old. Perfect time.
That's what I mean. He's young still.
Yeah, he's 3rd to me.
Number 5, Connor Bedard.
Okay.
3-year entry-level contract.
Yep.
$9.25.
Okay.
I mean, it's a scary one because you don't necessarily know what he's going to look like in the NHL.
But you do.
But you do. He's, and you have him for 3 years at $9.25. You have control after that. Like, that is, to me, a really, really valuable trade asset. Like, I don't think the Avalanche or the Oilers are trading any of their guys straight up for him. But after that, I don't think there's anyone in the league that would say no to a trade for any of their players to him. Like, I think those are the only 4 guys.
There's one other guy
I
have on the list, and I'm quite frankly floored that you do not.
Okay, number 6.
Okay.
Matthew Tkachuk.
There it is. That's the guy.
I'd still think the Florida Panthers would trade Matthew Tkachuk for Connor Bedard.
Fresh off of that run?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I think because of if Matthew Tkachuk makes 10-5, I'm not even having this conversation. But it's the fact that he's under 10. It's the 9.5. It's 7 years. He's still young. That I would put him ahead of Bedard, but I totally see your argument there.
Number 7, Tage Thompson.
Had him in my list as well.
7 years at $7.1 million.
Ooh, doggy.
Starting next year. After what do you have, a 95,
Yeah.
94-point season this
Big
year?
shooting percentage jump, so
Yeah,
be
but-
mindful. But
Stud.
yep, agreed.
Number 8, Jack Hughes.
Had him as well.
7 more years at $8 million.
Love that.
And he is just scratching the surface to me. Like,
Yep.
he had an unbelievable season, and he is only going in one direction. God, America. Very good.
Problem.
Very, very good. I like the fact that my top 5 were all, well, except for Leon, who's German. But the other guys were Canadian.
Yep.
And then we're getting into some Americans.
Yeah,
here.
I know.
Number 9, Braden Point. 7 more years at $9.5 million.
Awesome deal.
Awesome contract. The one that Mitch Marner should have signed.
Agreed. Would have been great.
And my number 10 is Rasmus Dahlin.
Ooh.
1 more year at $6 million, but it's a RFA and when it expires.
And it's not a murdering qualifier like
No.
it was with Tkachuk.
And he is a Norris candidate who is just coming into his own, and he's at a great age. He's going to get a good contract, and he's going to be one of the more valuable assets in the league. So that's my top 10.
Okay.
And I really had no problem coming up with that.
Okay, so a few names that I had in my locks, or there's really only one name that I had in my locks. I broke it down like old Bill Simmons style. I had super studs.
Okay.
They were the locks.
Okay.
The only name you didn't have on there that I would have, and I'm shocked it's not. It puts me in the exact Dahlin spot. It's Charlie McAvoy at 7 times 9.5. That is a studly young defenseman. You have him locked up. Is Dahlin going to sign for 9.5? Probably not. It's probably going to be less than that. But if his qualifying offer is going to be 7 and change, it's not going to be that much less than that. And I love Dahlin as a player. I love Power as a player. I love everything they're building on that blue line in Buffalo. But I just think McAvoy is just a stud, a game changer, can run your power play, can be a great defender.
I think Bruins trade Charlie McAvoy for Rasmus Dahlin.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You think so?
for sure.
Okay.
I think Rasmus Dahlin's a better player than Charlie McAvoy is.
Other-
I think he's going to be better.
Okay,
Is he younger?
Dahlin
the
is
exact
definitely
same- are they the exact
Dahlin's
same age?
Dahlin's definitely younger.
Rasmus Dahlin.
I would be pretty confident that he'd
Is
be a
23.
year younger.
He's 2
Yeah.
years younger.
Yeah.
I think they make that call. They call that into the league
Okay.
really quickly.
Without knowing what Dahlin's next contract looks like, because again, we can't, there's a reason no Leafs are on this list, and it's because they're in contract hell right now. But we keep expecting somebody else to take this Matthews path or whatever you want to call it.
If Matthews had a sign this morning
Yep.
for 5 years, he's number 3.
Yes, agreed.
But if you're making a trade,
4 behind McKinnon.
yeah, behind
The
McKinnon,
extra
4.
years, we don't need to
So-
get into it, but the extra years.
I think he's he's right onto this list right away.
Yep.
But the fact that there's you have no idea what he's signing for.
Mhm.
You have no idea if he's willing to commit to your team if you trade for him.
Totally.
Like, there's so much up in the air with
Yep.
him. You can't put his trade value isn't nearly as high as it would be if he had 3 or 4 years on his contract. So that's why he's not on the list.
Other names that I had on there that, again, I don't think this was the problem I was having with 7 through 20, basically, on this list. Like, we talked into so many of these guys. Brady Tkachuk, 5 times 8.2. If you want to make a bet on a guy who's ready to take a leap, whatever, 5 years still, that is under the level of elite players in this league, or right at them when you see what Huge makes. Another guy who's about to have an entry-level kick in. I was floored by how many points he had last season. Maybe the new Draisaitl, Tim Stützle. 8-year, 8.25 kicking in. I'm not ready to put him there, but these are just, when you're looking at a kind of trade value list, these are those types of guys. Another one,
He had 90 points last year, right?
90 points. I was floored by that. So if he's going to be something approaching that as an $8 million player, and it's just starting the extension, again, he hasn't.
He's 21.
Yeah, like that. That's a really, really nice piece that I think a lot of teams would love to have at that number. There's a bit of a question about if he's a center versus a wing, which obviously does change your value across the league. I mean, if you look at the top of this list, there's a reason it's all centers and D. But that's definitely another interesting one for me.
God, that is a good contract.
Ready for this one as well?
Mm-hmm.
Sergachev, 8 times 8.5.
I considered Sergachev, but I don't think he's.
I take McAvoy above him. I take this other guy, Miro Heiskanen, 6 years, 8.45.
I still take Dahlin over all those guys.
You do, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not. This is why this is the best exercise, because I'm not even floored by that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just, I really, really like Heiskanen. He's a guy who's shown me he can do it in the playoffs, and I don't have any reason to think Dahlin couldn't. But stop me if you've heard this before. A bright young core looks a little different in the playoffs. Could happen.
For sure. I think Mikhail Sergachev is definitely in the top 20.
Yep.
I don't think he can get into the top 10, but he had an awesome year last year.
He did.
He had 64 points in 79 games. He is nasty in both sense of the words.
Yes.
Get in your face. Somebody just texted in and said, compare Mitch Marner's contract to Tim Stützle. No,
I hate it.
I don't want to.
I hate it here.
I want to feel good about my list. I don't want to feel sad.
One of those contracts is extremely good and will only get better as he develops into a better player, and will be one of the reasons why that team will continue to be able to add talent around him. And the other guy is a right winger for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
There you go.
That's pretty much it. There's your breakdown.
Wow, but no, that's an undersell of what Mitch Marner is. Mitch Marner is elite. Is
he better than Leon Draisaitl?
No.
Okay. And I had trouble. I'm not telling you you're wrong with where you put Draisaitl, but when you look at the term all these other guys have, it's just so hard for me to rank him there. And Marner makes more money and is a worse player. So that's kind of where I stand on it. Again, I don't want to poo-poo what Marner is. If we're doing
do you have Leon in the top 10?
Honestly, I was having a really hard time with this. Like, when I made my list, he was not part of my locks. I'm going to show you my things, terrible radio, but he is literally in a tier all by himself. Like, I just did not know what to do with him. I don't know that he is a top 10 asset. I really don't know. And it's because it's not because of what he is. It is because of all of the other players on amazing deals that are just kicking off. Like, the Oilers would rather have Leon Draisaitl for the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. But how many other teams would rather have Jack Hughes for the next 8 or 7 than Draisaitl for the next 2? It is the term that is so tough, and that's why
I think the Oilers. I think
the Oilers would for sure.
No, I actually think the Devils would too. In this window.
Well, this is part of it. Is like Jack Hughes is the face of their franchise guy and all that. Like
but if the Oilers call up and are like, "Hey, we'll give you straight up Leon Draisaitl for Jack Hughes," I bet the Devils do it. Because, you get him in there, you sell him on being there, you can sign him long term, you're freeing up $8 million when you trade Jack Hughes. Like, I really do think they're in a competitive window.
I don't think it's a no.
If you're in the vacuum here of talking about competitive windows and trade value or whatever, I think the Devils would trade Jack Hughes for Leon Draisaitl straight up.
I'm not saying they wouldn't, but I don't know. That is a really,
How old do you think Leon Draisaitl is?
He's 28?
27.
27.
He's young. He's in his prime.
When's his birthday?
He is.
Did he just turn 27 or is
he's turning 28.
Okay, so he'll be 28 when the season starts.
No, he'll be 27 when the season starts.
Okay, you know what I mean though.
Yeah.
Like for the bulk of this NHL season.
At the end of the first month, he'll turn 28.
Yeah. So you're looking at a guy who you have until he's 30, and then you're going to sign to, you hope, I guess, an 8-year banger.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then I just think a team like the Devils, that they are absolutely pushing in to win now. And by no means does the window end the second Draisaitl's deal is up, because you could still pay him given everything else that's happening there. But I just think they would look at it as a kind of continuity thing. And again, I'm not saying they wouldn't do it. I just think that's not a 10-minute meeting. That's a 10-hour meeting.
That's a couple-day banger.
Where guys leave, where half the room is leaving livid because they're banging the table saying it is the wrong decision.
Either
way.
Draisaitl's goal totals on an $8.5 million contract since 2018. 50, 43 in 71 games, 31 in 56 games, 55 in 80 games, 52 in 80 games for an $8.5 million contract.
So this is where I don't want to turn into Draisaitl stinks guy, but how much of that's on the power play? How much of that is caused by the vacuum of McDavid? Like, those are all fair questions to have, and questions that you do not have about Jack Hughes. I want to be clear. If they're right next to each other on the order, one's ahead of the other, vice versa, I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about it. But I do think that it's just the term, and that's why it's so much trouble.
Fantasy draft, who are you taking first?
Oh, fantasy draft?
Yeah.
I'm taking Draisaitl first because I want to win this year. Yeah.
So that's, to me, it's like if the even in both of their windows,
but
the Oilers
the difference
I think the Oilers hang up before Devils do.
The Oilers?
Yeah.
Yes, the Oilers definitely. Oilers hang up before the Devils do for sure.
Yeah.
The Devils have to think about it more. I just think the difference is that the Oilers' window is as long as McDavid is signed, and if it extends beyond that, that is wonderful for them. The Devils' window is as long as Jack Hughes is signed, and they would look at trading that away as potentially closing the window earlier, which is why it would be a tough conversation. Other
Who else
guys,
do you have?
other guys in the mix. Hampus Lindholm, 7 times. Are you ready for this? 6.5.
Yeah, I thought about him.
He is a classic, not
But
a
then I watched the
superstar,
playoffs.
not a superstar guy.
He was bad.
He was.
I don't know if he was hurt, but like
Yeah, I'm
he
not
was
going to pretend to know about that.
he
either.
was a huge reason why they lost. He was really bad in those games they lost to the Cats.
Yep.
So that's, I mean, it's recency bias, but like I couldn't, since I thought we were doing 10,
yeah.
I couldn't put him in my top 10.
No, I
considered him.
honestly, here's what happened. I got to my quick count here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plus Bedard. I got there, and then I had no idea what to do with the other 13 guys I was just writing down here. Other names, Rupe Hintz, 8 times 8.45. He's an easy one to cut there as I'm talking this out now. Nice player, but definitely not in the class that we've talked about some of these other guys. Adam Fox at 6 times 9.5. He's not Kale Makar, but he's pretty close. You get him for $500K more.
He should be on the top 10 ahead of Dahlin.
Okay.
Because I think
that one sways you. Okay.
Because if the Rangers call the Sabres do it in a second.
For sure.
And the Rangers don't.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there we go. I think he should be in the top 10.
Okay. Happy
Hand up. I screwed that one up.
Okay, and then this is another part of my my brackets I have here. So that was great player, better contract. That was that neighborhood. This next neighborhood, aging, but still great with term. This is basically the Lightning, and then a couple other guys.
Kucherov list.
Nikita Kucherov, 4 times 9.5, and
it's too old for me to put on my top
10.
10.
That's where I fell on it too. If you think that, you're definitely going to think this about Victor Hedman, 2 times 7.8.
Yeah.
Now he looked a little longer in the tooth. We saw how the playoffs played out.
2 more years left?
2 more years, yeah.
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 No, it's
Again,
not nearly as valuable as
Nope,
it once
but
was.
had to throw them in the exercise.
If we're doing this in 2018,
Yes.
he's probably number 1 on the list.
Very, very possible. This is a weird one because he's not in the mix here.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
Yeah.
100-point season, or right there. Mitch Marner 100-point season, we'll call it. Maybe he actually got it. I don't know. 6 more
he
years
definitely did.
at 5.1.
Yeah, he's
5.1.
I actually think that if it's possible that he's underrated on a Canadian team.
Yes.
He's an
a first overall pick for a Canadian team, World Junior hero is underrated. It's a 100-point guy is underrated.
It's crazy though, his point total. I guess he's been hurt a lot.
Yep.
So he
Band-Aid
hasn't played a ton of full seasons, but his last full season he had 69 points.
Yeah.
And now he went up to 104. Like he went from in 2021, 2022, in 63 games, he had 11 goals and 39 assists for 50 points. And then the next season, he had 82 games. He had 37 goals and 67 assists for 104. How many of those are on the power play? You talk about that.
Yep.
That's similar thing with Draisaitl. He was a power play
merchant.
I think he might actually had like close to 50 power play points. Like he was a really, really beneficiary of the power play. But yeah, he
if he's your second line center, you're pretty okay with that.
A texter just texted in and says, tricky having Bedard in this conversation.
That's the whole point of the exercise.
I get, he has to be there. But when we're saying these names for all these contracts, I'm like, should he have been lower?
I maintain he's a top 10 guy.
No, I think he's top 10, but like I had him 5.
You had him 5?
Yeah.
So I had, the guys I for sure had above Bedard for me were McDavid, Makar, McKinnon, Matthew Tkachuk, and then I put Charlie McAvoy there, but I'm going to bump him down.
Okay.
I'd definitely take Connor Bedard over Charlie McAvoy. But we did bump Adam Fox back in there.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the guys I have. So that would leave him at 6. Again, we can quibble about Draisaitl's of the world, Braden Point.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Lightning are probably not doing that because they still want to band together or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Braden Point.
They don't do it?
No, I'm not. This is the thing. That's the whole point of the exercise.
Right.
So he is 1,000% top 10 with a bullet.
Sure.
But there's still a handful of guys that they do not even. I won't say don't even think about it, but it's pretty quick. No. Like how quick is the no for all those guys? If it's McDavid, Makar, McKinnon, and then I'm going to put Matthew Tkachuk there. How quick? You don't think it's a quick no for Matthew Tkachuk
No,
still?
I don't think it's a quick no. I really don't. So, how can the Leafs get into this?
Oh, sorry. I had one other guy.
Yeah.
Great contract. Guy who I was really down on as a player, but just has won me over the last handful of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
The only dark-haired Swede I actually can think of, if I close my eyes, Mika Zibanejad, 7 years, 8.5. That guy's not a number one.
Zibanejad?
Yeah. That guy is not a number one center with a bullet when we close our eyes and think about it, but he's like a top, 10, 12 center in the NHL. 7 more years, $8.5 million. Now, he is a little older. He's 30, so that's the part of it that you don't love. But I just kind of an honorable mention. Wanted to give him a little love in there.
old. He's almost played 800 games.
Yeah. You remember him as a Sen.
I remember him scoring. Didn't he score that massive goal for Sweden in their against
Sounds
Russia
right.
in overtime?
That sounds right.
I feel like they had they had a World Juniors on home ice. And they
I
had
just remember Willie Nylander's on a postage stamp tackling Hank. That's what I remember from the Swedes and their recent hockey memories.
Yeah, that was in the World Juniors. I'm going to look that up in the break, but I think pretty sure he had like a massive goal for Sweden.
Okay. And then quickly, the answer to this is no, because who knows with these guys.
But if Willie Nylander signed a
Leafs,
year,
yes.
$8.8 million contract, same deal as Timo Meier, I don't think he makes it into the top 10.
Nope, I don't think so. Really nice
Matthews
player.
is the only
Matthews does. If Marner was due for an extension this summer and he was in the Nylander position, there is a deal he could sign that would get him on this list, but it is not a de facto lock that he would be.
If he signed Braden Point's contract,
of course, but
then he's in there.
Do you think he's gonna take $1 million less on his next contract?
I don't.
No, okay. Boy, that would be nice. And quickly, there's no way you could ever put these guys in, but I did have to mention the position of goaltending in the NHL. Andrei Vasilevsky, 5 more years at 9.5.
Yeah,
scary.
That's
scary,
age
right?
badly.
Yep. Shesterkin.
That's one I thought about.
2 more years at 5.6.
I thought about that one.
And then this one, I'm with you on the aging thing. Ilya Sorokin is $4 million this year. And next year, his 8 times 8.25 kicks in.
How old is he?
He is mid or late-ish 30s, like 26, 27, I believe. It's
that
just,
one could be in there.
It could be, but I don't know. If there's no goaltender on this planet, including the guys we just mentioned, that I think is going to be a good goaltender in 6 years, let alone 9 at the end of that deal.
Yeah, he's 27.
No.
He's only played 3 years in the NHL.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not been a long run of this is the whole thing about goalies. We think a guy bursts onto the scene. He's a starter for his team. We say, this guy's great.
But he's just good.
That's
That's the thing. He's going to be good.
Good.
For a long time.
Yeah.
I think he's just like 27 till at 32, 33 is a goalie prime. I feel like that's kind of when he's going to be hitting it.
Mm-hmm. So no goalies in the top 10.
No,
that is not a shocker if you've ever heard us discuss the position before.